Going to countries and having meetings where they don't believe the gospel at all and seeing people healed and seeing people come. I don't know if there's any joy like it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Awaken the Wonder. We're here for part 3 of our conversation today with Dr. Marilyn Hickey. And if you did not hear part 1 and part 2, make sure you go back and listen. Dr. Hickey is giving a lot of wisdom, and I know it's going to be very helpful for you in your journey. Welcome back to the program, Dr. Hickey.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, this is going out to approximately 182 countries around the world through television and through podcasts, through YouTube, social media. And the joys of ministering the gospel is today's subject. Now, you, as we just talked about offset, it's been about 50 years that you've been doing media ministry, which is absolutely amazing. With that, what are some of the joys you've seen in media ministry specifically?
Leading people to Christ. That's the biggest joy, to get somebody saved. And if you haven't experienced it, you need to do it. And don't make it complicated. Just a simple prayer of salvation. It's such a lift. So, traveling overseas a lot, of course, is jet lag and things like that. But once you see people getting saved, it's wonderful. And of course, I like to do it here in my home. I have coffee, cookies, and people and gospel. And so, I think if you've never led anyone to Christ, I have a card that has the prayer. So I have on the card, this prayer can change your life. Mm-hmm. So that kind of opens the door. So a lot of times I use that in grocery stores, on airplanes, and people say to me, what do you do? Well, I teach the Bible. You teach the Bible? Yeah. Well, what is that? So it gives me big opportunity, and I can leave them the card.
They kind of just lead right into it because they ask you all the questions.
Oh, yeah. But if you have the card, because you don't really have a long time to pray.
Right.
But if you leave the card, just a simple card of salvation.
Yeah, I always find it a joy when getting a haircut and they say, well, what do you do? Well, and it's like the very beginning of the haircut, and you got them for at least 15 or 20 minutes. They can't get away because they're doing your hair.
Lots of fun.
So specifically now, just generally, not with media, what has been some of the biggest joys you have seen? Let's talk about ministry, talk about miracles, and just some of the stories.
Well, I think going to churches or going to countries and having meetings where they don't believe the gospel at all and seeing people healed and seeing people come, I don't know if there's any joy like it.
Wow.
I mean, it's just over the top. Yeah. You've experienced it. You know what I'm talking about. You're hooked. You're hooked. And so I guess I'm hooked, and I'm old. But right now I'm finding out that Saudi Arabians like old women. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I'm an old woman.
Did the joys ever begin to wear you a little bit in the sense that, hey, well, this is my 10th or 20th or 40th or 80th crusade, and did the stories ever get old, or is it new every day?
It's new every day. It's awesome. I love it.
So with family, what has been some of the biggest joys in your family as connected to the ministry?
Well, I think, I have an adopted son, and, I think he's doing well. We got him when he wasn't very healthy and all those things, and I think he's doing well now. And I believe Michael is saved. He lives in another state. I think seeing Sarah, my daughter, natural-born daughter, serving God, she's involved in television and all kinds of things. Her husband is our pastor of our church. So who would have thought our church started really with a little Bible study, that today, we would have an international ministry. So I think the seed of faith bears big fruit.
Can you talk about the season when you were home with your kids when they were younger and you weren't traveling much, you stayed home, and the joys of ministry in that season as well? Would love to hear your thoughts on that, because I know even for my wife, we have 4 young kids, and there's a lot of ministers as I talk to. Oftentimes the wife or the spouse that is staying home often feels like they're stuck in that season of just, ready for the call of God on their life, but yet also ministering to the kids and just feeling more like they're at home. What would you say to spouses that are dealing with that?
My husband was unusual because he so included me. So, when we got into a larger church building, he said, now, every other Sunday I want you to preach. It scared me. I thought, oh, are you kidding? So I think if we can have confidence in each other, and so I always tried to encourage my husband, and he moved in the Spirit. He would prophesy in rhyme. And so he had a very unique ministry, and we were very connected with Kenneth Copeland, Kenneth Hagin, and the Faith Ministries.
Yeah.
And Oral Roberts, I was chairman of his board for many years.
Wow.
So I think, and Dr. Cho, Young E. Cho, biggest church in the world, hanging around people with vision, it infects you.
Wow. And you obviously have a lot of it.
Infected.
Now, you've seen a lot of miracles as well. So
Yes,
can you tell us one or two or three stories that have really
Well,
stuck
I
to
think
your
the
heart?
last time I was in Pakistan, we had a woman who brought her little baby who didn't have an eye, and God gave her a new eye. And we have that on video. So I think you've seen those things overseas, but I would like to see more of them here.
Yeah.
And I would like to build people's faith for miracles here because it's the same God.
Wow.
Why can't we have the same miracles?
Amen.
They're not just for Pakistan, they're for the United States.
I heard you tell a story recently of somebody who was missing a limb as well. Can you tell that story?
Well, that was in California, and that was Chinese. They were having a conference with Chinese Christians, and a man told about how they had brought him up there. He was missing a leg, and so he had pants on, and he grew a leg. They had to get him some pants before he could leave the platform. Now, they told that. I did not see that. But I believe them.
That's a pretty phenomenal miracle, though.
I think the Chinese are radical Christians.
No.
Radical.
Yeah, they put a lot of us to shame, I think.
Oh, they're radical. Yeah.
Now, you've also ministered in some very large crusades as well. And the biggest one I'm aware of is there was more than 1 million people that were present at one time.
That was in Pakistan.
Can you talk about that night?
Yes, I can. Because we prepared the ground. We prayed over it. We did everything we were supposed to do because they sit down, as you know. So, you can have a lot of people in a smaller space. And so we prayed over that ground. And then they closed the highway. So here are people, we've got the ground, we've prayed over the ground. You just think, oh God, where are you? How do you spell your name? And then, we just held in. And people over there have a different attitude about time.
Wow.
So they waited till the highways open and they came in anyway.
Wow.
So, you stay through a big part of the night. So I just think God honors faith.
Amen.
And if we keep faithful, it's not just faith, it's faithfulness.
Amen.
That's so key.
good. Now, with the large crowds, that's something a lot of people can't connect to. We see it in our ministry, not about 130,000, but not 1 million. And that was quite an impactful night on my life. But a lot of people can connect to their neighbors and stories. And one of your big passions is having cake and coffee and opening up your living room or finding a Christian to get some non-Christians together.
Yeah.
Can you give us one story of a personal story in a living room that really stuck out to you?
Well, that's the way I started. So I started in a Methodist home, and this woman said, could you have a Bible study? And she wasn't saved. So I said, well, could you invite some women? And so she did, and those women got saved. And then it began to grow, and pretty soon I had 22 home Bible studies.
Wow. So
I'll tell you, Caleb, process is very important. People want to start up here. It doesn't work like that. I find it right now. Here I am as old as I am. I'm 90 almost, and process. Wow. It's still processing.
Wow.
So I love it. I love every minute of it. I say I'm God's pet.
He loves you and he chooses you. Amen.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Awaken the Wonder. make sure you tune in tomorrow for the next episode with Dr. Hickey, and go back to listen to part 1 and 2. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. God bless. Thank you for listening to Awaken the Wonder. If you enjoyed today's show and want more ministry like this, please visit kingdomencounters.us, where you can find weekly blogs and my latest book, Hunger. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the tag Evangelist Caleb Wampler. If the Lord leads you to partner with us in the nations in prayer and giving, visit kingdomencounters.us. I'll see you next time.